the leadership qualities of Arif, which honestly speaking, they're second to none. We witnessed in our short time, and I'd say our corporate life cycle short time, how much amazing change one person could do. It is very inspiring. There are times you read about someone when you're younger and you say that this will be a role model, and you, along the way, have to make compromises. You leave sometimes things which you can be flexible on. But I've seen that on his principles, he will not sacrifice, and his convictions are strong. And that comes out through his leadership, because the underlying issue of integrity is never sacrificed. One of our challenges in today's management system is that compromises are being done on integrity because they could be forsaken for short-term corporate results. The leadership we saw was you're getting short-term results and you're also building for the future. And a lot of discussions would evolve around, should we go with which type of corporate culture, etc. Chairing the board, I had the pleasure of seeing an ability to get us to buy in to something which he thought was impossible. So for us to buy into something which was nearly impossible to contemplate being executed, because of our singular confidence in our CEO, namely Arif at that time, we had the pleasure of knowing that once seeing the results, the second time it was a lot easier to say yes. And we saw the change and the transformation within the teams which were within the organization, and the improvement of an openness, more transparent, more organic structure instead of a very hierarchical structure, a patriotic system. And when we speak about changes, we talk about corporates changing, organizations changing over decades. This was a revolution of improved new management under leadership which did not compromise on its principles, put the organization ahead of everything else. Integrity was the common denominator, and the team management, which was important, because the team building and management, we always viewed creating teams with like people. When Arif came to the organization, he was able to gel people with differences, different backgrounds, coming from different heritages, geographic locations also. We're talking about 189 different geographic locations which comprise our company. The human capital came from 189 different. Our organization constituted of 189 different heritage and cultures which made up our team of approximately 15,000 members. And a simple example is that we believe that keeping like-minded people would create a harmony and improve productivity. I can bear witness that thought process, and later realizing that we had become a graying organization. Arif was able to gel what you would think would be improbable partnerships, or improbable partnerships in work attitude. So you'd have a young, dynamic person with a senior experienced person, but all equally on the table negotiating a procurement contract. The similar thing on recruitments. We had a system which was very archaic, where you have one person interviewing and making a decision who's an HR professional. In this case, we had a committee made of the most senior person in the organization and also the most junior person in the organization. Someone who's experienced in the territory where a member will be joining, and someone who's completely a new person explaining his experiences, her experiences, and creating the comfort and a much more holistic approach in onboarding. And also, when people were in the organization, the social fabric started to strengthen amazingly. And we're not talking changes with over years or decades. We're talking about exponential changes in a short period of time. Times you say that this might be one good luck decision, and obviously when you're watching something you've never seen before, you said you don't believe maybe miracles are on the ground, you don't believe in magic. So you say, okay, fine, this is one-off success issue. This is, okay, we got lucky here. But over the short period of time we would observe, and we said that we now started cheering for him. He said, why didn't you succeed? Instead of saying that doubting he was going to succeed, we ourselves started changing our view, said, why didn't you succeed? Because that success was an outcome expected after working with Arif in a very short period of time. When we talk, and I tried explaining earlier that we have people where we look and read about, and sometimes they become our role models. And as youngsters and younger people, we aspire to be those leaders. Famous people, we read about them, inspiring stories. And along our journey of life or business, we make certain compromises. And over time, we come to realize that which we thought was our North Star as early entrepreneurs became no longer our North Star. Our North Star had moved. And when we look back, we still have regrets. I think Arif's success is grounded on strategy, but the determination of never say die. Always keep your head even when everyone's shouting and losing theirs. And that instilling confidence in his team and managing expectations. I mean, sometimes you think that he's a marriage counselor in the organization. Sometimes you think he's a teacher in the organization. Sometimes you think he's a leader. But all in all, his hand you could see because of the results which we were getting, be it performance, be it attitude, be it respecting colleagues instead of competing with them, creating a team image much before what we say in today's environment as teams. Organization was friendly to the staff, at the same time understood its priority was the profitability of the organization. So we had that harmony, which was very much, I would say, in a very short period of time achieved. And as I said earlier, being the chairperson of the board, initially we doubted. When results came, we became more confident. And we started asking less. And as we were being informed, we would be shocked at ourselves for being now shocked at something not going 100%, 110% of what we were promised 100%. And also our work became a lot easier. There was less of the unknown, more of the known. Yes, every organization has got certain corporate secrets which remain proprietary information, trade secrets, etc. But we realize that is only 1% of what our organization is all about. The 99% could be displayed, very proudly displayed, unitedly displayed, and credit will be given out. There was not a situation where we would not see Arif not promote his team. A lot of times we see leaders, then reach a certain point, they stop allowing everyone else to grow. And one day we asked him in the board that, why? What's the secret? What's the thought process that you are different than others? He said, well, I look at it this way. I'm in this organization. If I can improve 100 people 2% of my ability, 2%, I give to 100 people, that's 200% of an outcome of me. And that would be a great change. So you get twice of Arif instead of one. So it's better that me investing. And even if I was to improve 2%, and that was my 2% given to each, only 100 staff of yours, 15,000 of the organization, that you'd have 2 of Arifs already. And that attitude of never holding knowledge for the purposes of depriving someone else. Continuity, growth, and that creates a lot of respect within the organization for him in a very, very short period of time. And in a very different part of the world, relatively I've seen a lot of people, great people, come to the organization and find the environment, either you surrender to it or you're fighting with it. You're never at calm with it, and he was able to assume that calm and blended in. He was part of the organization, but never got swallowed in the organization's politics, never got swallowed into the geographic. But and what I noticed is that I have spent many hours trying to keep up with Arif. The amount of execution, productivity, efficiency, and strategic thought process. It is not, if you, it sometimes became so annoying to myself that it was easier to ask Arif for an answer than to do it myself, because he already had the right answer. And that was something which wasn't given easily if you were to ask for the answer, because it make you first work for it. But that was the thing, that you know that there is confidence, that this person has a strategy in an outcome. So it was not the good fortunes that, you know, this is a fluke, he came up with a project and he went successful. It's a consistent strategic approach to reach a goal, which were amazing results. An internal view. That why we were not able to earlier get to the stages which Arif was able to do in his leadership tenure. Both internal assessment and external assessment. And one of the things we saw was that the unique ability of caring for an outcome that is perpetual in its longevity, in the sense of its longevity. A lot of businesses and leaders in businesses look for that quarterly result and forget the long-term investments in the organization. And it is very difficult to blame anyone on that. And to be able to both achieve the short-term and the long-term in a pilot seat when the organization has already moved, and that revolution and that intelligence of what battles, when to do, and which issues to let go, and at time also taking blame on his shoulder for possibly not being seen to be carrying the whole mountain in one go. But you could see clearly when someone went with a specific issue, the care exerted, the care in time given, the care in explaining, the care in giving knowledge and transferring the knowledge, and the joy of seeing an outcome which, if it's his advice, and I tell you that Arif was a leader who would not carry your hand to a situation. He would guide you and show you the light is there. It is now your common sense. Are you going to go that way, or you find another location which is better? But generally, if you did follow it, the happiest person on your success ended up being Arif. And that was something which, that it was beyond empathy. It is basically caring to the point that you care for human beings, you care for your staff, you care for your family, but not the one which is lip service. And that is also another unique factor, which is a strategy requires a very cool calculation generally, and alternatively, caring requires a very soft side. And we as a board, when we analyze this thing, that it was very difficult for us to keep in that level of balance within ourselves as a board. Let alone a leader of someone who's overseeing multiple verticals, multiple territories, and multiple cultures, that no one would be able to say that I didn't get a fair chance to reach my potential. And that is why I think the uniqueness of that quality I did not think existed. I thought what we read in books about great leaders was eventually a fairy tale, and a lot of paragraphs are put inside there. When I witnessed this, it reminded me of the person who built the Brooklyn Bridge. That bridge was, the long story short, is the gentleman who did the Brooklyn Bridge was supposedly paralyzed, and through inspiration, determination, from the hospital bed over the last 13 years of the foundation of Brooklyn Bridge was done by a person you will not believe, building the longest span of a bridge on a bed through his finger sign language. And that is determination. That is a strategy. That is clarity. That is objectivity. And that does not have to be spoken by me or anyone else. It is just a matter of fact. You cannot argue on facts, and what words will dry out of my mouth speaking the same thing. It's just a matter of fact. Excellence has no excuses. Perfection is a lot of practice. And I had the privilege of being in the same floor on many occasions, and I did see the extra work being put in there. But most organizations did not have that benefit which I had. But there was always a smile, there was always a goal to be done, and people always saw the easy step. They think that their effort achieved. Now, when I witness these things, and being one of the earliest people to leave, being on time is our appointment, and surprisingly, a simple example, and nuances which we learn in business which we kind of forget. I don't remember a single time Arif being late for an appointment, no matter who it is. He was finishing up the appointment to get the other appointment on time, to have the courtesy extended that he respects someone's time, which is a very small thing in the grand scheme of things. He said, this is the captain of industry. Why would he keep time? Time would wait for him, which is true. But when you give that respect to someone else's time, they also in turn give respect to your time. And that's one other thing I saw that, by example, that rubbed off on people. You respect me, I respect you, then you respect me. And it's not something which you can pay it, you cannot demand it, but it's something a great leader gets because of this small type of courtesies which build a culture, which build so his juniors and his team members would also follow the same culture. If the boss is on time and early, and then they also would be earlier than the time and try to be earlier than even the boss, and that rubs off the whole organization. So it was organically growing in many, many directions at the same time, in leaps and bounds. Thank you.